When you look at the U.S. and its relationship and its concern about oil and its politics in the Middle East, you think it's a distraction? You think that it...
No, I'm not saying the Middle East is a distraction. I think trying to make a country out of Afghanistan is a distraction. There was no country for the last 30, 40 years. They've just been fighting each other since the last king was chased out.
Right.
How on earth are you going to put these little bits together? It's not possible.
So therefore you do what?
I'm not an expert, but in my simple mind, it strikes me that you won in Iraq, you won in Afghanistan, not because you fought the Taliban, but because you got the Northern Alliance to fight them.
Exactly.
And you provided the Northern Alliance with intelligence and the capabilities to bomb them and target them. And they captured the South.
Yeah, but I mean, they've got governance problems over there, too.
That's all right, but that's their problem. Why do you want to make it your problem?
So what would you do? Would you pull all the troops out and let whatever happens to Afghanistan happens to Afghanistan? It's not that threatening to the United States. Is that the argument?
I don't know about that, because I think it cannot be more difficult for the United States than to have your troops stuck there. The Russians are a brutal, ruthless, so a lot of army people. Right. 120,000 of them were there. But they had to leave.
Yeah. And we helped that because we supported the Mujahideen.
Yeah.
The Mujahideen had a lot of support from around the world who wanted to see the Soviet Union take it.
Yeah. But whether or not the Soviets helped them to get the Americans out, I think the Americans and the NATO troops, the NATO members are very skeptical of the outcome.
Even to the point of not wanting to send their troops in certain kinds of combat areas.
Quite right.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, because you get shot for nothing.
But those who argue that if Afghanistan is abandoned, first of all, the world will say, or people will say, look, you left Afghanistan once before after the Soviets had left, and now you're leaving again. The United States has to stand for something, and it has to show that it's prepared to stay.
Yeah, no.
You don't buy that at all.
No.
Look.
You know,
you must have a wonderful conversation with your friend Henry Kissinger then.
No.
No, stop there, though. Where do you and Henry Kissinger differ on a view of the U.S. role in the world?
I don't think there's any difference.
Is that right? How would you define it then?
I think the U.S. can be a benign stabilizer of the world order.
A benign stabilizer?
Yes. Without the U.S., East Asia would never have grown. You brought peace and technology, trade and investments, and East Asia flourished.
That's clear. It's happened in East Asia. You're talking about Singapore and North and South Korea.
No, absolutely. So, and if you're not there,
how do we do that in the Middle East? How do we do that when you've got the kind of conflict that's taking place?
You can't solve all the problems in the world. Some problems just got to be resolved by the
And so what are your priorities?
For Singapore?
No, for the United States. What should be the priorities?
I cannot think. I'm not an American. I do not calculate in American terms. I calculate what Americans are likely to do in relation to what will happen to me.
Yeah. Well, that's why they listen to you. That's why you're going to see Mr. Bernanke tomorrow, and that's why you're going to see Larry Summers, and that's why you're going to see all these American officials. They want to know how you assess the way the world is working today. And your central message is you got to engage, you got to make the Chinese feel like they are a worthy part of the world community, and you got to help them join the WTO and all the things they want to do.
No, they've already joined.
I know they've joined, but you've got to make sure that they're treated fairly.
You've got to make sure that they understand membership requires certain obligations. Right. And the obligations start with responsibility.
But you also say about the United States, it has to realize that most problems need an American participation in order to be solved.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.